It's like there's this conversation happening, between them. There's a conversation, and it's an aggressive one, I wouldn't exactly say they're friendly to each other. I like the idea that the viewer should be complicit in actually the journey of the work. If I were to tell them what they were supposed to experience, that would be kind of like stealing a moment from them. So you need to allow them to actually exist in the space, find themselves devoured by the work. My beginnings were with painting and drawing and having a facility. By the time I was like around 8, there was something called the Cultural Arts Center, ABCD Cultural Arts Center, built into the projects where I grew up. And from there, I was given free material, canvases and paint. And by the time I was 13, I was already exhibiting. Around that very same time, remember DC and Marvel Comics came after me because my facility was such that people were talking. And once it reached their ears, it was sort of like this decision had to be made on what kind of career I was going to pursue as a maker. I had no idea what abstraction was. I thought that, an artist was someone that actually pretty much recorded what he saw. Abstraction, once it's introduced at its highest form, for me it was Jackson Pollock. That was like the thing that took the lid off, Realizations when it comes to order and chaos. I believe those two things are almost like the yin and yang, the kind of things that need each other, or order and chaos. So to have an understanding of how they compose themselves alongside each other, absolutely important in terms of how you negotiate a visual understanding to your viewer. The push and pulls of a composition, for instance, the levels of dichotomies, things that have to speak to each other. So in fact, I actually make chaos legible. I realized that after some time that it didn't really matter what materials I work with. Once you find your voice will find its way into that material. So the materials actually become very much like secondary. What you have to say and what your voice is actually the very thing that guides the materials and actually shapes it so that it becomes what it needs to become. Materials are actually created in the studio, store-bought materials that are transformed. I don't use found because I believe that's in a lot of ways a cheat. I need to actually go through the process. So that means that I have to become the weather. I have to actually transform that material, go through all the levels of life that it has to go through: birth, life, death, and regeneration, and get on the other side of the physical of that object. I call them the 7 crying babies. That means that we have 7 works rotating all at the same time in the studio. The one that's crying out the loudest gets the most attention. And it also borrows from all the previous works before that. So nothing is sacred in the studio. So that means that I can take things apart, in order to sort of complete the next iteration or next work. There are no brackets for me. I don't say I'm a sculptor, painter, or whatever. I like to believe that a sculpture could become a painting, a painting could become a drawing. I'm drawing in the space, I'm composing, and I'm actually literally making concrete, like these kind of gestures. So, the work is being actually framed by the surroundings, being able to continue to sort of have this largesse within the work, this grandness that is expansive, even if it's something that big, That is, for me, the holy grail at this point, to actually make work that's so impactful that it's only about that. To have as a philosophy that you as a viewer should find yourself in the work by way of mirrors, like it's a physical thing now. The colors are coming because of my visits to China, working with the foundry there, and it was with porcelain, and we were working with glazing. And I was doing Persian rugs, rug patterns, because I need to sort of get a balance anyway in terms of color. The grid is for me to get a better view of that before I leap into darkness, that unknown place. Making things look good and beautiful is one thing, but I actually dive further into that, past that prettified surface and into something that is impacted by emotional and spiritual meaning. There's nothing else like that. Once that door is open, you need to sort of continue to pursue it. Cut! Put it all together now.